This week in games, the Game Awards happened, and it was a whole lot to talk about. Let's get into it. This is the Two Penny Gamescast. What's poppin', players? Welcome back to the Two Penny Gamescast, episode 230. I am your host, Tavin Bothel, here with my good friend and co-host. Say hello to the people, Connor Elliott.
I'm Connor Elliott, and I'm here on the Two Penny Gamescast.
You are indeed. Now, ladies and gentlemen, this Two Penny Gamescast is going to be a little bit different than usual. But what is the usual? Well, of course, Two Penny Gamescast. Each week, me and Connor come to you with the nerdy news you need to know concerning the video game industry. We each come to you with two topics, two pennies, if you will, and we give you our 2 cents on them. Now, that's how we normally do things. But this week, we're just talking about the Game Awards. Game Awards all the way from beginning to end. We're going to talk about our review of the Game Awards. We're going to talk about the announcements at the Game Awards. And then, of course, we're going to talk the awards themselves. But if you didn't know, you can get this show every Tuesday at 8 a.m. Central Time, youtube.com/@TwoPennyGames, and mainstream podcast services of your choice. Make sure you follow us on all of our social medias down in the description below. Specifically, we finally gotten our Instagram account, official Two Penny Games Instagram account, off the floor, got it on its legs. It's up.
Yeah.
Hey, follow us on Instagram at TwoPennyGames, all the way spelled out. We got some Instagram Reels. They're going to be posting throughout that for the next probably month or two, probably every day, maybe every other day. We're going to be posting a lot of Instagram Reels up there. So
as much as we can.
Make sure you follow over there and subscribe. Well, we're going to put a lot of the backlog on there, too. You know what I mean? So make sure you follow us on Instagram at TwoPennyGames, all the way spelled out. Connor, how you doing?
I'm doing great.
That's great.
I had a fun time watching our video game awards.
Yes.
You know, they were pretty amazing this year. One of the best.
I agree. So, here, we can go ahead and get right into it, because I assume you took your time code for it already. Yeah. So, Game Awards happened this year. Is the 10th anniversary of the Game Awards. We had a little watch party here Thursday night, you, me, and Phil. Of course, ladies and gentlemen, if you don't know, we do a little bets, a little competition between the three of us. You hear that?
I'm trying to think of what it would be.
Whatever. It's probably something fell into the sink.
Probably. That's exactly what it was. Yeah.
We're going to explode on camera or something. Anyways, so what we do is we have a predictions episode that went live last week, and you can see all of our predictions live over there, in which you can get 2 possible points for each award of the night. The first point going to what you voted for, and the second point going to what you expected it to win. Now, does this mean it's a fair and concise game? No, it does not mean that. But if everybody's smart and everybody, votes their hearts and so forth, I feel like it kind of works its way out. And then, of course, at the end of the episode, we have 3 predictions each of announcements or things that will happen at the Game Awards. That is no different this year. We each gave 3 predictions. Each of those predictions is worth, in total, 3 points. But if you get some of the prediction wrong, but some of it right, you could get 1 point, maybe 2 points, just depending on the predictions themselves. Now, at the end of everything, Connor, you unfortunately took last place with 26 points.
Can't win them all.
Phil took second place with 30 points. And then I took first this year, finally, with 32 points. Very, very, very exciting times. And, yeah. It was a good time. I enjoyed the Game Awards a lot. Let's go ahead and get into our review of it. Connor, this might just be the best Game Awards to ever happen. I thought from front to back, it was really well paced, super well produced. I think the balance from sort of advertisements and announcements and awards was some of the best that we've ever seen. I do think maybe we sort of lost the plot on awards a little bit, especially there in the middle. We didn't see as many speeches as I would have liked, but I think this was a better balance than other years of past. And, that's a balance that I feel like somebody is inevitably going to have a problem with at some point. Somebody's there for announcements. Other people are there for awards and so forth. I'm a guy who's there for a mix of both, because I feel like the Game Awards balances both those acts, so both are important. And as far as the announcements, stellar stellar year. Fantastic announcements. Not a lot of like stuff coming soon, but I think a great look into the future of what we can predict for the next 2 to 3 years in the games industry, which I'm always excited about.
Yeah.
I always like looking forward. And then of the awards, well, listen, this was a great year for games. Was it the best ever? No, but it was still a really, really good year for games. So I think when it came time for now that it's come time for awards season, it's still an interesting conversation of like who's going to get what. And we had some twists and turns throughout the night that I wasn't expecting. Some games went to other games or some awards went to games that I wasn't expecting to win those awards and so forth. So that was very, very exciting to see such a competitive year in that sense. But yeah, overall, really liked the Game Awards this year. This is easily, if not one, this is probably two in terms of all the different years of it. But how did you feel about it?
Well, on what you just said, the only other contender for Best Game Awards is 2018 because of the quality of games that were released that year. I especially liked 2022 because Elden Ring was there, and I loved seeing that win. But as far as the game show itself goes, this was an incredibly balanced one, as you said. It had enough of those big, hard-hitting, heavy announcements, but it didn't just pad it out with a bunch of annoying musical performances or, annoying guests that come up and talk for way too long. Like, for example, Kratos' voice actor. As much as I like the guy,
yeah, he went for a long time. Yeah.
None of those moments.
That's another point. Yeah, the last year we criticized the Game Awards for hushing people off too quickly. Yeah. I feel like they answered that, and we have found a great balance here.
Yes.
We didn't have to play anybody off. I think everybody got to the point, said their piece. It felt like they got to say all of their piece, and then they got off.
And some that went on a little bit longer, because it seems like they gave it a bit more leniency, didn't have that song come on. And they weren't exactly long speeches, so they wrapped it up. And it was kind of a perfect coordination. Though I know they didn't actually coordinate between the speakers and every single word they're saying.
There might have been something, email went out and been like, hey, try and keep it 90 seconds, something like that.
But you can already kind of assume that going in with how past things have happened.
Sure, yeah.
But they never needed to. The awards themselves, there was some weirdness in terms of certain categories, particularly ongoing and best community support, that make me scratch my head as to why they did it the way they did. But other than that, all of them made sense. All of the winners were justified.
Well, one day we'll be invited to be one of the jurors, and we'll be able to put our input in on that one.
That'd be cool.
That would be cool, wouldn't it? You know what would make that happen, ladies and gentlemen, is if you subscribed. So make sure you like this video, hit that subscribe, hit that bell so that you can catch every upload coming later this week, including not only future episodes of the Two Penny Gamescast, but Piggy Bank, our casual gaming podcast. This next week's episode coming up is the beginnings of a new series that we're doing on the Piggy Bank, where we rank the 100 greatest PlayStation games. We were so inspired by IGN's frankly terrible list.
Inspired's not the proper word, I don't think.
No, we were inspired. But thank you for putting in the work, IGN, so that we can now do it ourselves.
Hopefully better.
Make sure you subscribe to see the first installment of that. We are going to do the top 20, and then we're going to do them in 20 game segments. Now, is that interesting? Who knows? Maybe it's more interesting to start at 100 and go up and find your number one, but that's really hard to do.
Yeah.
So it's easier to start at 20 or at 1 and go up to 20, and we'll do it in 20 bite-sized 20 games at a time.
Yep.
Make sure you subscribe to that. Again, make sure you follow us on Instagram. Links are in the description down below. Let's move on, Connor. Unless you had anything to say about this year's Game Awards. Let's move on.
They were great.
To everything that was announced at this year's Game Awards. Now, I am pulling from a Eurogamer article because they so brilliantly wrote it in order of when the announcements happened. Thank you, Catherine Castle, over there at Eurogamer.net. And starting with what they have rebranded the pre-show as the opening act, they've started Ninja Gaiden, returns from the maker of Blasphemous. This is, the developers of Metroidvania, Blasphemous, and the publisher behind Streets of Rage 4, Dotemu. Rage Bound. This is Ninja Gaiden Rage Bound. Is that what it's called?
Yes,
yeah,
Ninja Gaiden
Rage Bound. Really, really great animated trailer here. Looked pretty solid from the gameplay perspective. I'm interested to see more of it, and it is allegedly arriving summer 2025. One move away is a packing simulator.
You Power Wash Simulator.
I like Power Wash Simulator. Maybe I'll like One Move Away, the Packing Simulator.
Do you drive, though?
Is coming in 2025 to PC, PS5, and Xbox Series X/S. No, I think it's just packing. I think you're just packing up the car.
You better be able to drive.
I think it'll be fun. I like packing up a car. And I can pack a car, Connor. Let me tell you what. Me? I'm good at packing
I like
up
packing
stuff.
a car. You said that just now.
Slay the Spire 2 gets a new gameplay trailer coming to early access in 2025. Dave the Diver got a new DLC in the Jungle coming late 2025.
Amazing indie game.
Yeah, they're so indie. Thick as Thieves is a new stealth action multiplayer game from Warren Spector Studio. This is their first game coming out in 2026. PC, PlayStation 5, and Xbox Series X and S. This is a first-person stealth sim game where you're competing against other players in the world to steal a thing or to capture a target or something. And so everybody's going to have their own unique abilities and moves and so forth. Looked interesting. Interested enough to see more.
I'm interested to see how the action goes because that's one of the marketed parts of this game.
It didn't seem like you were fighting the other players as so much as racing them to the goal and exploring the environment in ways that can sort of sabotage them and give you the advantage and stuff like that.
It's an interesting concept. We'll see how that works because we don't really have a stealth multiplayer game like that.
We don't, and I think it'd be really interesting. While we were watching the trailer, I was thinking, is this just going to be like Assassin's Creed multiplayer, which is sorely missed? So I'm very interested to see if we're going to get that. Shadow Labyrinth is a Metroidvania-styled game, very dark, very gritty, but you got a little Pac-Man on your side. You have a lot of Pac-Man powers. It's a nice little cool spin twist on the Pac-Man IP. So that's going to be an interesting one. I'm definitely going to probably, give it a look-see when it comes out, see how the reviews are, see how people are feeling about it.
Kind of like that Winnie the Pooh horror movie. See where I'm going with that, kind of?
Yes, but I'm expecting higher quality.
I'm hoping higher quality.
Steel Paws is a new mobile game coming to Netflix games in 2025.
Hope they have lots of beautiful women.
Kiora is a gorgeous pixel sandbox from Core Keeper Dev. This was very Terraria coded.
But newer and cooler than Terraria. We think it looks exactly the same.
It looks a lot like Terraria. Proc Gen world and up to 8-player online co-op.
They do have a little thing at the end where it's like, oh, ominous stuff's going on here. Maybe that'll be where the cool gameplay changes differentiate itself from Terraria, but we'll see.
Maybe. And then the biggest thing to come out of the opening act for me was the announcement of Slow Clap's new game. This is the dev behind Sifu, which was one of my favorites in 22. Rematch. This is a soccer game. It's a football game for my European fans out there. And it's you play as an individual player as opposed to playing as a full team. Sort of how Rocket League is soccer but with cars. This is Rocket League but without the cars. And it looks kind of stylistically. It looks like a good amount of style, but still matched with the aesthetics of football that you would expect. And it does have that slow clap sort of action base to it and how you control the body. When you press a button, it has an immediate
punch to it.
Result on screen, a punch to it on screen. I think this game is going to play really, really well. I'm interested to play it.
And I think much more marketable than the, control an entire team from a bird's eye view type deal. It's a lot easier to get in and get, in the game itself.
It's gonna be gritty. It's gonna be a gritty, if all goes well, very competitive game. In a lot of the ways that Rocket League kind of turned competitive in a lot of different ways and so forth. So I'm super interested. I loved Sifu. I'm gonna spin the wheels on this one and see how it plays for me and see if it clicks. But if it doesn't, I'm sure this kind of feels like this feels like an in between game. They were they were just trying something new. But it's not like the next big one.
The biggest issue is for your European fans, talked about football. That's world. All right. We're the exceptions. All right. It's called football, not soccer everywhere else but Europe.
I've been saying football this whole time.
I think you said earlier.
I'd said soccer/football, and then I said football.
For our European friends.
Solasta 2, this was the last announcement during the opening act.
This guy's white, implications there.
What does white have to do with it?
You're being racist. You're European-centric.
What?
You're European-centric. You're ignoring all of the African countries, the South American countries, the Asian countries. for one of the most popular sports in the world. And
Connor,
you're just being very white ethno-state.
Connor, I appreciate you fishing for content on this re-recorded episode because we fucked up the first recording of this episode.
You said it first.
Listen, I know I did. I was going to say it eventually, but I appreciate you fishing for content, but let's move on, please. 'Cause that's not where I want to get stuck. Solasta 2, this is a new CRPG. If you liked Baldur's Gate 3, hey, this is kind of similar to that. Maybe you should check it out. I think it looks good.
Maybe a bit more flashier for those that wanted more of Flash than Baldur's Gate 3 had.
It looks a little more cartoony, a little more animated, got more color. No, I'm not going to say more colors going on, but like it's taking itself less gritty. It's got less grit to it than Baldur's Gate 3 had. Early access 2025. And then finally, the big show started, and they started with a bang. And they were banging for a while, and then they slowed down in the middle, and then we got back to banging there at the end. And they started off with The Witcher 4. Yep. CD Projekt Red's new game, new saga focused around Ciri. If you're a Witcher fan, this was to be expected. I'm happy that they're going in this direction. I'm so excited to play this game. This is a cool cinematic trailer. Classic Witcher styling of our playable Witcher is going out to a village, hunting a monster. We're taking care of that monster, and then we come back, village or whatever, and then we come back, and the humans are the monsters.
The key issue, though, is that Ciri is not hot. I've seen a lot of things online. She looks weird, right? She looks
she looks great.
No.
See, you do these jokes, but you don't know when to flip it and pull it back. It always sounds like you're doubling down, but I know you're fucking joking.
Because I'm not joking.
You're not joking.
I'm not joking at all. Yeah. Also, why are they going into the theme of humans are bad? Again, when did Witcher ever go into that?
When did The Witcher ever talk about the humans being bad? I can't think of one time.
Maybe it had something to do with the genocide of the elves in that game, but I don't know.
Seems a stretch. Crazy. Could have been something crazy. No, what do you think of The Witcher 4 trailer?
Oh, it looks fantastic. It's reminiscent of those really high quality Witcher 3 trailers, the Killing Monsters trailer, and the one that's basically just the intro of the game. And this one, it did it while having a little bit of a story, so you know exactly what you're going to get into. It being a Witcher game, it had all of the main marks. My biggest issue with it was seeing Ciri operate less as she did it with her special powers in the third game, and more as a traditional Witcher. I have a feeling, I don't think they're going to dive too much into old Geralt-style gameplay, but the fact that it didn't really seem as diverse as I would have expected it to be, based off this cinematic trailer alone, leads me to have a slight bit of doubt that they're going to make her play as massively different as you would expect her to, once again, based off Witcher 3.
See, and I'm grateful that they took that direction. Because that's Witcher to me, is taking the potions, being a little slow and methodical, swords, limited magic, and hunting a beast and getting the small advantages off of the potions and dipping your swords in oils and things like that.
Yeah.
I can almost guarantee that this game is going to play better than The Witcher 3. It's been almost a decade. We're in a new engine, it's been cooking for a while. And so, yeah, I think whenever this comes along, we don't have any type of date or window or anything. At least probably 26, probably even 27.
Yeah.
It feels right to me. And also take your time. This is Witcher 4, man. They're gonna sell a buttload of copies off of this. And I think after the launch of Cyberpunk 2077, they are specifically looking to come back with a banger.
They're more likely to push it back too far than make it come too early. So I got hope in them.
We'll see.
Yeah,
I'm excited. All of the things that we see in this, whether it's thematics and tone and the humans are the monsters all along type thing. Yeah, that's dope. I love that. But I also love there's just a little tiny hints of gameplay in this one that is going to differ itself from The Witcher 3 in the past games. Specifically, new kinds of magic. That's exciting. And whatever she's doing with that chain, where she takes the chain and starts whipping dudes with a fire chain and shit, that's awesome.
Almost like it'll function as a grappling hook does in terms of traversal, but much more, an interesting gameplay focus, especially if you add magic
oriented.
To it.
Yeah. Yeah. Mm-hmm. I think they probably got some good ideas going on in here. I'm excited. And then the next big surprise, it followed up immediate banger right after that one. Elden Ring 2. Night Rain 2.
I thought it was 2. When it first came, I was like, there's no way.
There's no way.
Yeah.
No, but there was no way. They got us with this, and it was it was a great, it had great beats and great moments to it where the trailer was going, and we were going, okay, medieval game, cool, whatever. And then Connor went, wait, was that? And then it cut to Bandai Namco game or whatever, and we went, no.
I remember it was Phil was the first one who was
Phil
like,
did it, yeah,
FromSoft, and I was like, no
shot. They've put something out the last 3 years in a row. There's no way they're coming back for a fourth. They're coming back for a fourth. It's
yes.
FromSoft. So this is a multiplayer Elden Ring game in a alternate universe from Elden Ring and the Dark Souls games. And it's going to be using different assets and bosses and enemies from the FromSoft catalog. You
got the Nameless King, you got Duke Steer Frazier, and you got the Firekeeper from Dark Souls 3, and Lady Maria from Bloodborne, I think. Lots of stuff. Yeah.
I haven't seen any headlines about Bloodborne being represented in this game, so
I just saw one player character. It seemed like it was a player character.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So the idea behind it is that this is a up to 3-player co-op roguelike, and it's going to take place over the course of 3 rounds / 3 day-night cycles or whatever is what I was getting, and then they're going to have different boss fights throughout those rounds, probably like a middle and an end, sort of what you were talking to me off mic.
Yep.
And this is an alternate world. This is not a canon world, so it's going to allow them to kind of bring in different elements, such as bosses from other games and environments from other games and so forth. But for the most part, they're kind of reusing Elden Ring environments, specifically Limgrave.
Limgrave was the one that was shown.
Yeah.
I imagine they would probably have different maps set in different regions of the Elden Ring world.
Yeah. So I'm super excited for this. I love seeing From Software get out of their comfort zone, do something new. You know, they were on record saying, hey, yeah, we see all the co-op mods that you're doing for Elden Ring. We're taking note. Okay, we get it. The players want to play together, so in a more functional way.
And they beefed up Elden Ring for that purpose. They're doing Colosseums, tweaking online functionality. But I'm happy they're going in this radically different direction. I guess you could say there is the potential issue of them riding the coattails of Elden Ring too much and oversaturating it, but not with this one right now.
I don't think not yet.
Not yet. No,
not yet. I am curious about just sort of like quality of life and how you move through menus in this game. How do you get into a lobby with other players in this game? How does all of that work? I got a lot of question marks because, in my opinion, From Software doesn't necessarily do menus very well. They do everything else phenomenally, but they don't do menus super well. And so, I'm very curious how that is all going to work and just what it takes to get a game going with your friends. But I'm super in. Coming 2025.
I'll be right there.
Right there.
Relatively early in 2025, wasn't it? Wasn't it
no,
like
just 25.
I thought it was like a summer.
No,
month.
just 25. So we'll see. We'll see. I mean, it could not. Who knows? Take your time, of course. But I learned the hard way last year in our Fantasy Critic. When they say they're coming, they're coming.
Yep.
Final Fantasy VII Rebirth is heading to PC January 23rd, 2025.
Anyone with a PC, go play it.
Go play it.
And the first one.
Catly is a strange photorealistic cat game coming to PC, Apple Watches, and Nintendo Switch.
I don't trust cats with non-human looking eyes or non-earthly eyes.
It's worth saying the PC version of Final Fantasy VII Remake got an update where you can speed up the game to 2 times speed if you like that. I think it's only on New Game Plus for replayability and stuff, and then ways to sort of get equipment and what is the magic system in that game? Materia,
yeah.
And get materia faster in the early hours of the game, so you're not restricted by tutorialization and stuff. Be interesting to see what that's about, and I wonder if it's ever going to come to console.
Yeah.
Project Robot. This is from the Eco team. This is an untitled project from Damn it, what is it, Connor?
Fumito Ueda,
maybe,
I
something
believe.
like that. So the creators of Eco, Shadow of the Colossus, The Last Guardian, they're back. This game looks pretty interesting. It showcases a character climbing up a giant mecha in the sort of like how you would climb up a Colossus in Shadow of the Colossus, and then there's this huge destructive wave coming, and it's there's a 30-second countdown or whatever, and the character climbs up to the shoulder, takes a look at the giant wave coming, climbs into the head, and then they eject with just the head and fly away and stuff. So very interesting, very different from what we've seen before, but also still familiar in just the ways that they climb and sort of the art style of it a little bit. But yeah, I'm of course super interested to see more.
It appeared like it was going to be about you controlling a giant robot, but the fact
Still might be.
It still might be, but the fact that it then detached, and you would think, oh, you'd want to have this cool moment of the mech activating, see what you're all about, but it just focused on the head, leave it. And they do, I know with The Last Guardian, they had your companion character, possibly having that happen again, but maybe with something rather than another character or creature, be a gameplay mechanic. We don't know. Doesn't even have a name yet. But this team, they generally know what they're doing. Last Guardian may not have hit all the points it needed to, especially with how much it was hyped up, but it was still a quality game from everything I understand. And, this seems it as well.
I almost wonder, because these games always have something kind of funky about them.
Yeah.
Stick with me here, Connor. What if this game has some type of multiplayer to it? You do control mecha, right? But it's like, oh, Connor's going to control the legs, Phil's going to control the arms, and then Tavin kind of directs them in different directions and something like that, you know? Something to just kind of put a new twist on it or something. I don't know.
That'd be interesting.
Something to think about.
Like from a, what's the word? Conceptual standard. But
yeah. Sort of like how the Power Rangers, when they all form together to create Voltron or whatever.
They morph. Do they? No, they don't.
I don't know. They do a bunch of stuff in Power Rangers. Moving on, The Outer Worlds 2 gets a new trailer in a 2025 release window. This came with an awesome, hilarious trailer. I'm excited for Outer Worlds 2. I liked the first game fine. I didn't play it all the way through, but it's one that I've always wanted to go back to and beat. Just have never found the time for it. But Obsidian, coming off of Grounded, Avowed right around the corner, and then now this, they're in a good place. Obsidian. I think they're probably one of Xbox's premier studios, if not their best studio right now. And so, yeah, the previews for Avowed are very strong. I think this game looks better than Avowed, personally. I think that's because they have the advantage of being a sequel, and so they're not going to make mistakes that they would make on a first-time outing. And yeah, I'm very, very, very interested to see more about Outer Worlds 2.
And, compared to their first game, what I'm hoping for, and they've already kind of seen they're going in that direction, is not only to make the world more expansive, extra gameplay, extra bigger world, a longer narrative, which I think can really help, because the first game, while it had a lot of quirkiness to it and it was funny and entertaining, it was very surface level from the part that I played. I stopped playing it after a certain point, but it kind of failed to really grab hold of me like Obsidian games have in the past or other RPGs have in the past. So I still like the first one, but I have high hopes for this one.
Also, just a very humorous trailer in that, because it's a sequel to their game Outer Worlds. They went, from the studio, from Knights of the Old Republic 2 and Fallout 3, 2 being New Vegas, something else 2 or whatever, and then they were like, and now a completely original new sequel. And I'm like, all right, this is a good trailer. This is a good trailer. It was fun.
Lean into that more. I think, and also, that's what I think they could do. Lean into it more than the first game did. I don't remember a lot of that humor in the trailers, because the first trailer was funny as well.
I remember it from the last Outer Worlds 2 trailer that we got, but yeah, I don't remember it being such a standout in the original game so much. But I think this is a good tone and a good switch to focus in on. Next, Split Fiction is a new game from Hazelight Studios, formerly known as, or best known for It Takes Two, 2021 Game of the Year winner. Joseph Fares on stage talking about it. Really, really excited about it. Said what did he say about their studio? They fuck shit up without fucking shit up. I like as a character, I like a Joseph Fares, man. He's funny. I love his passion. Probably needs a media training.
No. He's doing it perfect. Without that media training, it's why he comes in and steals his moment when he's up there.
So Split Fiction is a pretty high concept game, but I'm really into it and I'm really excited about it. I think this is probably going to be their best game. If you don't know, Split Fiction is in a world where there's some like corporate CEO guy kind of leeching off of creatives by inviting writers into this technology in which he puts them basically in like a VR bubble. And they can, and that VR bubble creates the world of their personal fiction or whatever they're writing, and so forth. And then through some shenanigans, two writers get crossed over, and they have to work together to get through a split fiction in which some levels are based off of one writer who writes science fiction stuff, and then some levels are based off of the other writer who writes fantasy stuff. And then you're going to see a lot of crossover with technologies and sort of gimmicks and magic and technology and all these different things. So yeah, I think it looks dope. I think this is probably going to be their best game. It looks like the writing is going to be really, really good in this one. And just from a concept perspective, this fascinates me.
And, gimmicky and gadgety and magically, having cool things in the game is what I'm looking forward to. But what it seems like they're building upon from what we saw in the trailer is systems, rather than just giving you one to play around with.
I hope
and
so.
Another one, and then another one like they did with A Way Out. No, with Take Two.
Yeah.
It
I
seems
hope
like
so.
dragons are one of them.
Yeah.
Gotta do something.
Our critique of It Takes Two is it felt like we were playing 5 hour-and-a-half long video games instead of one full 7-hour video game.
As fun as it was,
Fun. They were all quality games.
it prevented it from reaching that upper echelon.
Yeah, it didn't build on itself.
Yeah.
And I'm hoping we get that in some form here, whether it's in level design, whether it's in game mechanics, whether in it maybe just a narrative, or something like that.
And again, it seems like that's what they're doing from the trailer alone. I think it's going to be their magnum opus.
I think the next one is going to be their big one.
Fucking seer over here.
We'll see. Seer. Shut up. Steel Hunters is Apex meets mechs from World of Tanks Studio. So, yeah, I didn't realize that this was a battle royale in the trailer. I didn't realize who it was from, but now that I know it's World of Tanks devs, I am more interested to check it out now that I know that.
Yeah, same here.
When we saw the trailer, I was like, all right, it's a mech game. You're going to be fighting other players. Looks all right, I guess. You and Phil were much more into it than
I thought it was badass as hell. I love playing in giant robots. I love playing with giant robots, and I can do it against other players. Titanfall 2's back, baby.
This is not going to be Titanfall 2.
Oh, you never thought that Titanfall 2 was going to be Titanfall 2 before it came out.
No, I knew exactly what Titanfall 2 was going to be.
No, you did not. No, you did not. Don't say that. You knew it was going to be as good as it ended up being.
I had a pretty good idea it was going to be that good.
Shut up.
I also think, I'm of the opinion who thinks, I love Titanfall 2. One of my favorite first-person shooters ever. That game's overrated.
No, it's not. It failed. It's not overrated.
No, it's overrated.
No, it's not.
Because people who talk about it, they're like, oh man, great story. And I'm like, it was all right. It was good.
It was a good story.
It was good.
And an amazing multiplayer.
An amazing multiplayer.
And all of these things were not taken by the public. So, if anything, they're gassing it up. They're not overrated.
They were taken by the people who played it, though.
They were.
The Long Dark 2, Black Frost. This is a survival game?
Dumb survival game, weird shit going on, nothing to go off of.
Early access in 2026. I mean, there was some stuff to go off of. It didn't look terrible. It looked all right.
Nice art style.
If they have another, they're a while from release. So, if they come with another trailer that does catch my attention, I'm more than open to it. The Long Dark.
Survival's very saturated nowadays, so I hope they, stand out.
I do too. Borderlands 4 gameplay world premiere trailer. Gameplay with an asterisk next to it. We didn't see that much gameplay really at all, but we did see some in-engine Borderlands stuff, and it looks like more Borderlands. I don't know, man. As a longtime fan of Borderlands, it's kind of overstayed its welcome here.
The fact that Tiny Tina's Wonderland had the potential to take it in a very different direction in terms of gameplay, and they didn't, makes it seem like they're really doubling down on what they have, which maybe isn't the best thing for Borderlands at the moment.
Yeah, at this point, I'm looking for something new from Borderlands, and they are not providing that for me at all. I'm seeing a lot of same old here. Now, does that mean the game's not going to play great? No, I'm sure the game's going to play fantastically. I'm sure we're going to get the best gameplay experience we've ever gotten from a Borderlands game, XYZ. Maybe the story and narrative will be better, but I don't think if you just give me a good Borderlands game, that's not enough to keep my interest past the 20-hour mark.
Unless they give you the best Borderlands game.
That's not the highest bar in the world. Like,
hey, it's a bar, though.
It's a bar. There's a bar there. I'm expecting some level
one.
of quality, but yeah, they need to do something new, and it doesn't look like they're doing something new. Final Fantasy 16 cross Tekken 8. Clive Rossfield is in Tekken 8, Connor.
Because Square Enix wants to make money off of 16, and this will help sell it, I guess.
Maybe there's somebody who played Tekken 8 who didn't play Final Fantasy 16.
Yeah.
Kind of feel like the Venn diagram of those two is pretty close together.
And you know what? Regardless of how you might talk about the marketing decision for why they did this, the fact that they skipped over a character like Tifa, who everyone wanted and fits Tekken, even someone like Barrett or Jack from Final Fantasy Origins, are these the most notable characters or likely characters? No, but they fit way better than Clive did.
Tifa's on that level. Barrett is too, but Tifa was what the fan base wanted. It
Yes.
makes the most sense. You've got a remake trilogy happening right now, so like the crossover marketing stuff still works. I understand 16 was the last one, and you put all the money into that one, but you're putting a lot of money into Rebirth also.
Yeah.
So like, what are we doing?
And again, I don't think that's going to do anything for 16. I think it's just
It just doesn't get anybody excited. Tifa has people excited, and the fact that they went for Clive, solid pick. Final Fantasy 16. A lot of people some people like myself weren't too fond of it. But Clive was a likable character. We all liked Clive.
there's like cool moments too.
Yeah, and it's not like he doesn't work for Tekken, but it's just like there was just more exciting choices. And this was a boring one.
And no fucking Waffle House.
It's never going to happen.
It might. Hey, that's not true.
Not happening.
Harada's been interested. Because he didn't know. He was like,
just in the fact that he knows that like it's a fun fan thing to say, and he's like, I don't know, people like to fight at Waffle Houses, sure.
well, he was asking about it. He's like, what's the cultural significance of Waffle House? And people answered. So, hey, that could have been the moment he decided, I'm going to push this.
Splitgate 2 got a new trailer.
Hey, if you like the first one.
Ready for deployment in 2025. Hey, I think it looks good. I'm just curious if maybe we've missed our moment here with Splitgate.
Even when the first one came out, it kind of missed its moment in the grand scheme of things.
I disagree. I think it had a moment.
It had
a chance to really do. If they had doubled down on Splitgate and continue to progress that game instead of not shutting it down, but instead of stopping development on it and starting on this new game, which I can also respect them for because Splitgate was unapologetically Halo but with portals. This looks to be like they're actually trying to form a unique identity of what a Splitgate game is. I think it looks good. I think it looks quality. I'm excited to try it out, but I just don't know. I think we've missed our chance to make an impact.
Yeah. But Helldivers 2, it made an impact when we didn't expect it to.
Yeah, but that's different.
Oh, Tavin, it's not.
You
know as well as I did.
That's different.
I remember.
Listen, Helldivers 1 was a small game with a small player base.
Yeah.
It was liked by the people who played it, but it didn't move the needle. Helldivers 2, for the most part, was a mainstream introduction to the franchise for the first time. For the most part, most players of Helldivers 2 did not play Helldivers 1.
That being said, though, I remember, you at the time were like, it's gonna cater to that base of people and get some other people in there. It blew up. This could as well.
It did. Listen, there's always a chance. There is always a chance. I don't think Splitgate 2 has that chance.
Less of one.
It has less of a chance of doing it, I should say. That's a better way. Virtua Fighter returns from the makers of Like a Dragon.
Old style 3D fighting game that I have no experience with at all.
Oh, it's been a dormant franchise for a long time, and this was really like the first big cue of all the dormant. I guess Ninja Gaiden, but this was the first big cue of all that's old and dormant is coming back, and that's new and exciting. We're gonna get a lot more like that coming up real soon. Good trailer.
And fighting games have entered into probably the most popular space they've been in all of its history.
Sure. Yeah,
and so good time to bring this back and once again bring more people into how fighting games can be in its totality.
And I want to give a shout out to Sega and even Capcom, who we're going to talk about in a little bit also, for finding the time and the effort to come back and get these dormant franchises and give them a spotlight and give them another chance, another go around in a time where it financially makes sense to do so. You got your big heavy hitters, your big money makers, and so forth. Y'all as publishers and studios are doing fine, right? Let's spend a little bit of money. Maybe we won't make all of it back, but we're going to make games that people are going to be excited about and people are going to like and people have been craving for the last couple of years. You don't see that from other publishers and other studios. How long has Infamous or Sly Cooper or
Resistance and Prototype?
I guess maybe. No, not Prototype.
It's Prototype.
No, nobody wants a Prototype. You want a Prototype game. You're not somebody. You're my little whipping boy who works for me and doesn't make videos when I ask him to.
You know what? You're gonna choose if you had the chance to have a superpower. I want to be like Spider-Man, and I want to be like Alex Mercer, and then I'm gonna kill you.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
This is way cooler than Spider-Man.
You think so?
Yeah.
Spider-Man has villains who are just like Alex Mercer, and he kind of whoops their ass all the time.
Because they don't try to cut him in half as much as
they try to cut him in half.
And they're bad at it because they're people. They're people with ultra wings or shit like that.
No, I'm talking the symbiotes.
Symbiotes?
Yeah, gotcha, bitch. You're fucked.
No. They're more webby and
come on,
mucusy than bladey.
No,
that's true.
Carnage is literally sure, the the like tentacles and shit, but he's got blades in him.
Oh, I heard a loud bell. I can't do anything. Yeah, he has an easy time when he has fucking weaknesses like that. Or Rhino. What has Rhino ever been like intimidating?
I'm going to say it. Prototype was mediocre.
Yeah.
Always
Did you play, how much, when did you play it?
I played 1 and 2.
Fuck. Well, you can have that opinion. You can have that opinion.
I didn't play a lot of them.
Oh, you did? Oh, so now it's back on.
I played a couple of hours of both.
I played all at Prototype 2 and most of 1.
Mediocre.
How many powers you unlocked? You know what? Fuck you. Move on to the next one.
You want to go into powers? We can talk about some Infamous.
I
Infamous was busting out them powers.
Oh, Prototype's way cooler. Way fucking cool. Oh, electricity. I shock people.
Got more than electricity, though.
Oh, no. Like what?
Ice. You got ice. You
It's
got
like the opposite
It was
of
supposed
electricity.
to. It was kind of fire-y, but it was more like
Plasma?
it was a little more plasma-y, yeah. And then, in Second Son, you got video. You got video powers, Connor. Remember the video? Remember the LED powers?
Smoke. You're ready to smoke.
You started with the smoke. That was one of the better ones.
Yeah.
At the end of the game, you got concrete for no reason.
Huh.
Yeah.
I never got to that end.
You never beat Second Son? It
I played a shit ton of it.
was all right.
But yeah.
It was a good game.
It's fun.
It's good.
Yeah. For launch title, especially.
I miss Prince of Persia.
Yeah. Well, it's gone.
Project Century, also being made by Like a Dragon Devs RPG. This is a spin-off, a little more Yakuza / Like a Dragon styling, violent. Very violent.
Our reaction was very funny because we were like, oh, this is Yakuza, but set in the past, so it's going to be like that. And then all of a sudden he has sickles and he's
all
like,
this blood comes out, and we go, I don't think this is Yakuza anymore. 1915 Japan. Very interested to see more about this.
Nice time period we don't often see, and you can do some cool shit with it.
Yeah.
Similar to something else that'll be coming up later.
Like Turok Origins.
No, but hey.
So Turok also coming back. This didn't do anything for me.
Turok is a fun series of old games.
New from Saber.
Yeah. Saber made Warhammer 40K, Space Marine 2.
Sure.
They hit it out of the park with that. That was a revival of it in a sense. Less of one than this, because this, I don't remember the last game. No, probably equivalent.
N64.
No, there was a first-person Turok game. Well, they're all first-person.
They're all first person.
There was one on the 360 that I played.
Oh, okay.
That was the last one.
That one wasn't good, though, right?
No, but I kind of like it.
Warframe 1999. You can play it now. This is their new expansion. It's out right now. Just happy to see Warframe still kicking. Good on y'all.
Keep on rocking.
I love it. Power World is getting an update. Fey Break, December 23rd. Cool for them.
Keep on rocking. Win your lawsuit.
Onimusha, The Way of the Sword, is coming in 2026. Again, with another revival of a dormant franchise.
I believe it's pronounced Onimusha because you're fighting demons.
What did I say?
Onimusha? Oni is the name of the demon.
Onimusha?
Oni. I believe it's Onimusha. Because Oni is a demon and you're fighting demons.
Regardless, I don't know anything about this, but I know a lot of people are very, very excited about it.
Same here. Slicing people up. Demons up.
The first Berserker Kazan arrives March 2025 with a new cinematic trailer. Good trailer. March 27th, 2025 to be specific.
And because it's so around the corner, I was hoping they'd give more gameplay than showing us another cinematic trailer, which they only released a couple months ago. At least, just put some gameplay in there.
A little bit.
Yeah.
Would have been nice. It was a good trailer regardless.
Yeah. And they've showed gameplay, and it looks good, but I want more of that showcased this close to launch.
Yeah, we'll see.
Yeah.
We'll see.
They'll probably do more marketing.
Excuse me. Dying Light The Beast gets a release window of summer 2025.
Dying Light, but in the woods.
Doesn't do anything for me.
Dying Light fans are happy, though. It did look visually cool. The darkness of the forest and all the zombies hiding there within.
And you get more powers. You're just a super-powered freak. We'll see. I'm Dying Light's never done it for me, and I think it'll continue to not do it for me.
Yeah.
And it's like, I appreciate that tier of video game and that it exists. Sometimes it works for me. Just in this case, it doesn't. Stage Fright is the new game from the makers of Overcooked, and that's all you got to say for me. But much like Split Fiction, this is a co-op focused game where two players are kind of working in different worlds and have to cooperate to help each other run around and stuff and do all their platforming coolness and so forth. Really, really cool trailer. Really excited to see more. I'm in no matter what.
In the award ceremony itself, good presentation with holograms that appeared on stage.
Yeah,
and
they quickly went to the screen, but it did look like they were there for a second. Game of Thrones King's Road is stuffed with proper TV actors. There's a new Game of Thrones game coming in 2025, set to take place between Season 3 and Season 4 of Game of Thrones.
Weakest in the entire show?
Easily.
Yeah.
Easily. It focusing itself so much on the Game of Thrones narrative and what happens in that original TV show is a mistake. Bringing back Jon Snow, bringing back what's his name, the Viper, the eunuch guy. I forgot what his name is.
Oh my shit! Yeah.
But yeah, bringing back all these characters is a mistake. Trying to insert this little side journey that everybody goes on to immediately tells me what type of quality of game we're getting, and it's not going to be a high one. There was very little about this trailer that excited me. I was interested at first because I was like, oh, new Game of Thrones, cool. But as soon as like Jon Snow showed up, I went, oh, okay, I know what this is.
You have a cool ass setting. Play around with that. Not play around with the established characters in the TV show.
It just immediately makes me feel like we're getting a mediocre, movie tie-in game of old in a bad way. Like I'm immediately expecting fives, and it's just like, all right, I'm cool. Hard pass.
Yeah.
Last of Us Part 2 Remastered is coming to PC.
Article sums it up, surprising no one.
April 3rd, 2025. Sonic Team Racing Cross Worlds is coming soon. This has Sonic the Hedgehog doing stuff. There's a new Sonic Racing game coming out. Those who are excited are excited. Mafia the Old Country coming summer 2025. This game actually shaping up, looking pretty decent.
That's the other game that takes place in a time period where you can play around with some stuff and have like a fun setting.
Yeah.
While also, I think, being the pinnacle of Mafia. Because people like me and you haven't really got into the game.
Yeah.
And
it just doesn't look like it's ever had a peak.
But this seems the most attractive that Mafia has ever looked. And
I agree.
So I think it has the best chance of pulling people in.
There's a good chance.
Yeah.
There's a good chance. I do think it needs to get the hell out of the way of any vicinity of Grand Theft Auto 6. If you are within a 3-month time release of GTA 6, you're fucked. Whether you're 3 months before, 3 months after, you're fucked. Especially after.
Problem is they're probably not. But by that same token, maybe just outside of the fact that it's gangster adjacent, the game itself can be completely different.
Open world, narrative, heavy things like detailed, free roaming.
It could set itself apart enough.
You're too close. You're too close in concept to do this. I'm pretty sure Mafia 3 came out. Oh no, that came out a couple of years after GTA 5. But like GTA 5 was on such a roll that like it was impossible to be anywhere near that genre while that was going on.
2016.
Yeah. I think if GTA 6 does come out this year, you need to delay. You need to get into next year. You need to go. You need to go away, and you need to go fast. Dispatch, one of the most interesting games of the show, is a superhero game from former Telltale devs. This is where you play as a guy who like used to be a superhero, and then he was in a mech, and his mech got destroyed. So now you play as a dispatch for other superheroes, and that's cool. Had good humor to it. It seemed like the narrative is interesting and it's going to have great characters to it. A lot of great voice actors in there. Laura Bailey, Jeffrey Wright, most notably Aaron Paul, who I believe plays the main character that you play as.
Moist Critical, famous YouTuber.
Sure, if you want.
He had a funny voice line.
He was the dude who picked up the Twinkies, right?
Hey, you gonna eat that?
Yeah. All right, cool. Yeah, but I think this game looks good. I'm going to play it. This was one of the highlights for me, for sure.
They pressed the gas too much when it came to these Telltale style games back in the day. Kind of think burned people out. But I'm happy it's returning, and in this really attractive way.
How crazy is it we're gonna get this before we get Wolf Among Us 2?
Right?
That's fucking nuts. I don't think that game's ever coming out.
I think it's coming out, and I think that's going to play a part of this kind of resurgence of this type of game.
Because we don't even have a release date for that yet, right?
No. That means it can come out whenever.
That studio's dying.
No, Tavin. No.
And then Capcom, like we said before, we're reuniting with Kamiya. Reuniting with Kamiya for an Okami sequel.
What's the first name?
It doesn't tell me.
I can't remember off the top of my head either.
Listen, Okami is a very, very popular, very famous RPG from the PlayStation 2.
Yes.
And it did super well critically, not so well commercially, but has always had a very, very strong cult following throughout the games industry. I've never played it. I've always wanted to play it. We are definitely going to find time on Game Club to play this game before this sequel comes out.
Oh, yeah. Most certainly. Which will be a while.
It'll be a while because we got time, so why rush it?
Also, I want them to make this game as beautiful as possible.
Oh, for
because
sure.
that first game's beautiful.
I mean, the trailer is looking fantastic. Yeah, so very, very exciting stuff. I also want to give it up to Jeff Keighley. I know you don't like it when I do this.
No, this is fine.
But he put the right amount of weight and importance on this trailer, where he said like he knew this one was for the culture, and so he put a heavy little before the trailer played. He said, "Hey, he came out, hey man, for the 10th anniversary of the Game Awards, I'm so happy that the stars aligned and I'm able to give you this trailer. This is something awesome and fantastic." Like he put like all the weight on it to the point to where like, dude, it could have been a Grand Theft Auto 6 trailer, and it would have like that type of lead up would have worked, right? And so for him to put it on a game like this, hey, points to you, Jeff Keighley. You did a really good thing there. On top of something else that Jeff Keighley did that we're going to talk about a little later. But finally, final announcement of the night. Naughty Dog's next game is a science fiction game, Intergalactic: The Heretic Prophet, coming who knows when. They've been working on it for the last 4 years. Science fiction game. Somebody, listen, we've got a very, very small following. I would argue we don't even really have a following. I've been predicting that the next Naughty Dog game is a science fiction game for years. Somebody find me in the 4 hours of content, or the 4 years worth of content, weekly content, where I've been saying on this podcast, screaming for from the heavens, the next Naughty Dog game is going to be science fiction. Someone find me that clip so that I can make it a TikTok.
You can find it.
No, I'm too busy making other TikToks. This trailer did it for me. I'm a big Naughty Dog guy. I really, really, really love, of course, The Last of Us and Uncharted. I enjoy Crash Bandicoot. And so, yeah, I'm just excited that we're getting a new IP from them. I like that it's a pivot away from The Last of Us. And it just looks like it's going to be fun.
Yeah, it's a good trailer. And, I think the Naughty Dog name carries the most weight rather than the, outward appearance of this game, because we don't really know much about it. But despite that, it seems like it's got a good style. Seems like it has good dialogue.
A character that you're kind of instantly interested in. They have, she has her like sort of just on-screen presence and charisma that you're following.
If only they didn't make her.
Before you get to that, there's that bit that's been kind of memed where she's just kind of sipping heavy on her soda or whatever while the other person's talking.
Oh, what was people's point? That she just.
It's just that screen has been a meme now. I'm seeing it online of like, it's like, oh, whenever the haters are doing whatever the joke you're about to do is like, and there's, sucking on a smoothie, just like not caring. This is a good trailer. Yeah. Good use of colors. Very interesting concept where in the 1980s, space travel kind of took off. And so we are in sort of a, not like alternate reality, but sort of just like an adjacent reality or alternate future type thing, which kind of explains some of the
product
placement in the game, Porsche, Sony products, and so forth. You're going to see other things like, I don't know, Hollister or something, just like random brands are going to be in this game, which we can talk about how money grubby and greedy and stuff that is, but I think it makes sense for this game. This doesn't bother me in terms of this game. And listen, games are more expensive to make than they've ever been before. We live in a dire time in the games industry where a bunch of devs are getting laid off and studios are getting closed almost entirely because of corporate greed. And so if this is the best chance we're going to get to sort of help that balance a little bit by putting a little bit of product placement in our big heavy-duty AAA games, do I like that reality? Not really. I wish I could stay within the fiction of the game and not, be reminded of, corporate greed. But, I mean, hey, the Avengers movies have product placement too. So, it's just going to happen for our big blockbusters, and it is what it is.
As long as it doesn't interfere with what the game has set itself up to be. It's already said it's in an alternate future where those kinds of 80s brands would be more prevalent. As long as they keep it there and make it make sense, which in the trailer they have, no problem whatsoever. Though, I will say, when it comes to, product placement, I doubt that would do anything for game developers. I think it just means more money in the pockets of people.
Yes.
Who already screw the things over.
Yes, but I mean, if it just means that layoffs happen less, I'm okay with it. Now, that's in the semi-perfect world where things are happening less.
Yeah. Ideal world. But, one thing that's kind of an issue for me here is I believe in this concept known as the death of the author, which is where when a creator of any kind, whether it's a writer or a video game developer or a director, puts their work out into the world, it's no longer up to them to decide how people interpret it and how they come away from it. And it's entirely from,
you bringing this up confuses me as to what your next point is going to be, but we'll get to that. Go ahead.
One of the key themes that's been said about this game, as well as the dive into the heavier systems, which Naughty Dog doesn't always do. So that's one of the big reasons to look forward to this game.
Oh, we didn't even talk. Yeah, that last little scene where they bring out a sword and they're going to fight a robot and stuff. Cool.
Yeah,
into it.
See what they're, Naughty Dog. I have what's the word? I have not hope. I have
optimism. I don't know.
Not even optimism. I'm sure. Like when you're sure of something. Like I have no doubt that they're going to make really fun systems to engage with. But going back to my original issue, I mean, I guess they couldn't, but.
They have games where they haven't in the past, but I think they're on a trend to do that anyways.
Mm-hmm. But, one of the things that was said in all of this extra details that came out is that it's going to be, one of the key themes is going to be mistrusting place and institutions. Once again, going back to the author, who in this case could be ascribed to Neil Druckmann, who's a controversial figure for a number of reasons. The key one that I'm caring about is that he has in the past expressed support, pretty unilateral support for Israel, particularly from a Zionist perspective, which is, in its essence, not even really in essence, it's the advocacy for an ethno-state. And it's been used in this past year to perpetuate a genocide against an entire population of people. At the worst, at best, an ethnic cleansing. And when he has those kinds of views and then starts trying to make a game where you're supposed to question the validity of institutions, it leaves a bad taste in my mouth. More people than Neil Druckmann work on this game. And any thoughts I have on him can be delegated solely to him. It's not something that should be put on the rest of the writers or the rest of the staff who make the moment-to-moment gameplay that this game will have.
That's where I'm at, and where I'm not going to push back on you because I think your critique of Druckmann as an individual is fair. I don't 100% ascribe to him I don't have enough information on Druckmann himself to make a character assessment on it. Everything I've seen, he seems like a decent guy. Sure, he may have these beliefs or whatever. And, in the face of the genocide against the Palestinian people, yeah, that's a fucking problem. I definitely disagree and have a huge issue with that. But Naughty Dog is more than Druckmann. Even though he is the head of it, but Naughty Dog is much more than Druckmann. It's a very big studio. Something like 250 employees have been working on this game for the last 4 years. That's not it may have been a Druckmann idea at its source, but it's not a Druckmann product. It's a Naughty Dog product.
Naughty Dog predates Neil Druckmann. So yes, that's just how it. He hasn't been from the beginning. Well, even if he has, he wasn't.
I don't know when he was hired on Naughty Dog, but I know his rise to relevancy was in that Uncharted 2 era.
Yeah, which, Naughty Dog made its bones with people making their games before any of that happened. And the small slack I'll give Druckmann, before I go into that, he does also advocate for crunch, despite being the head of a company that does it, which is pussy shit. But he's not active in saying any of the bad things about Palestinians or urging Israel's actions. It's just from things he said in the past and never questioned again. Never brought up again, and now he makes a game like this. Like I said, just leaves a bad taste in my mouth. And I know this is apart from video games. I'm sorry, Tavin. Only to you. But I said Zionism earlier. There's a misconception that means Judaism. It in no way means it. It's a political ideology that came about in the late 1800s as opposed to one of the most storied religions in all of human history, and a strong going one today. But also, people who aren't too fond of Jews would be considered Zionists as well. Such as, I'll give an example. Mike Pompeo. I hope I'm remembering him.
Jews wait. Zionists not too fond of Jews?
Some of them aren't. Because Mike Pompeo or Mike Huckabee, I'm pretty sure it's Pompeo. He's a guy in U.S. politics. All you need to know about him is that he believes in, once Israel comes to fruition, there's going to be end times where God's going to have everybody repent. And if those who don't repent, including Jews who stay with their religion, are going to be killed. And he's a person who advocates for Zionism, despite the fact that that's what he wants for Jewish people at the end of the day. So it's not the same exact thing as some people might try to pretend like it is. Like our own Congress. And when our Congress agrees on something, it very often is not a good thing. But, just a little bit of side note. Sorry to get distracted from the games. You're undoubtedly here for that.
I wish you were as passionate about the fake culture war stuff and a bunch of incels calling out the game as being quote unquote woke because there's a bald woman in it. But you're on the right. I feel like you're on the right side of history with that one, with that stance too. So
to the criticisms, at the end of the day, it's going to be the exact same thing as Last of Us Part 2, where it made ridiculous boatloads of money and lots of critical acclaim. So
probably,
ultimately, it's like, people.
I mean, if the game comes out and sucks, then it comes out and sucks.
But it's not going to be.
I mean, Naughty Dog's put out nothing but greatness, and they canceled the Factions game probably because it wasn't great.
Yeah.
So
you would think. Otherwise, they just hate multiplayer. That could be the other reason.
I don't think we see. I don't know. I never want to say never. Naughty Dog's a huge studio with a lot of people working. So, at the end of the day, I am excited about this. All the works Druckmann's done, I've liked. So, whether it's his big projects like The Last of Us Part 2, Last of Us TV show, Uncharted 4. I read a comic book from him that he put out a decade ago and so forth. That was a good comic book too. So like as a writer, I like Druckmann as a writer. As a person, I don't know the man. I don't sign on to the Zionist shit. That's kind of fucked up. Super fucked up. And so yeah, Druckmann in the past has put his pro-Israel politics in his works before. The Last of Us Part 2 is littered with it. I didn't know that at time of release. That is something I learned within the last year when the remaster came out, because I just knew more about the conflict. And so, but other than that, for the most part, usually pretty okay about keeping those specific politics out of the game. And I'm not someone who thinks politics don't belong in games. Politics absolutely belong in games. Politics belong in all art, because that's what drives art, is the state of the world. And so I don't know. I don't get the feeling that this is going to be a super heavy political game. I get the feeling this is going to be a little bit more, it's going to lean on the fun side of things.
And again, it's about the death of the author. I don't think it is going to be heavy into that stuff as well. It's just the nagging voice in my mind where like the person who probably wrote some of this stuff that's going into, once again, back to the mistrust of institutions, doesn't do that in real life.
But like, two things can be true at once. Druckmann can be who you say he is, but on the same point, still make a good point about not trusting institutions.
He could, but once again, like I said, it kind of falters in my mind when the person saying that doesn't do it in reality, only conceptually. But I mean, last other thing, I can't remember what I was going to say. It was not going to be a negative thing, actually. But
I want to talk about gameplay real quick because we just briefly brushed past that. They have said that this is going to be the most mechanically deep game that Naughty Dog's ever made. That excites me. I think they've kind of been on that trend for the last couple of years. And a lot of their games of past can kind of be criticized as not being super gameplay focused, specifically in the Uncharted era. But Last of Us, and specifically Last of Us Part 2, have gotten deeper mechanically as we've progressed. And so, yeah, if they're trying to go for like a hack and slash action game of some kind, totally into that, totally ready to do that. I'm ready to be a bounty hunter in whatever world they're going to create. They're really good at creating worlds. And so, like, if I'm almost curious if this almost feels like it's got Jack and Daxter DNA in it.
And space stuff.
Yeah, and so I'm interested to see if that's going to go anywhere, and so forth. So yeah, excited to see what comes of that. But Connor, that's not the only reason we watch the Game Awards. Of course,
not the main reason.
They're called the Game Awards, so we're going to be there for the awards. So we're going to run down the winners of each category real quick, and maybe comment on one or two of them. But we've been running for quite a while, so we're going to kind of work through this a little quicker. Even though that kind of flies in the face of my criticism of maybe the award show was a little bit too much about announcements and not awards. But, I mean,
we're not doing that.
How much can we say about the games of the last year that we haven't already said? Subscribe. Follow us for our reviews. They're fantastic.
Well, we haven't talked about every game that made a big splash in extensive detail.
Most anticipated. We're going to go in the order that we did for our predictions episode. We're skipping all the esports stuff. Sorry, esports guys.
We're not sorry.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry that I'm not sorry. Most anticipated, Grand Theft Auto 6. Predictable. Best adaptation, Fallout. Best multiplayer, Helldivers 2. Hell yeah. Best sports, EA. Just stop me when you want to say something.
Oh, yeah.
Best sports, EA Football Club. Best simulation, Frostpunk 2. Best family, Astrobot. Fuck yes. Best fighting, Tekken 8.
Why are we so happy about the family one? It was always going to win.
It didn't need to win.
You make it sound like
it didn't need to win. Like it could have been fucking Mario Party.
Yes, it could have.
It could have. It shouldn't have been. It could have been Plucky Squire. Shouldn't have been. It should have been Astrobot, and it was. So thank God. Best Fighting Tekken 8, Best RPG Metaphor Refantasio, Best Action Adventure Astrobot. Rest in peace to Prince of Persia: The Lost Crown. That's still one of the best games of the year.
Better for that category, I would say.
I would agree with that. Best Action Black Myth Wukong. Congratulations to Black Myth. This is one of 2 awards they won. They also won the Player's Voice Awards. Congratulations to them on that. Best VR/AR, Batman Arkham Shadow. Best Mobile Game, Balatro. Fuck yes. Best Debut Game, Balatro. Fuck yes. Shout out to Animal Well. Best Indie, Balatro. Fuck yes. Shout out to Animal Well. Best Community Support, Baldur's Gate 3.
So, yeah.
That should have been Helldivers 2. Best Ongoing, Helldivers 2.
Which, that's the weird part. That was the biggest contention of the awards.
If you're gonna do anything between those two, switch them.
Yeah.
Like, Helldivers was doing great work on social media, staying connected to its audience, staying tapped into the feelings of their audience and pivoting whenever they felt like something was going wrong. They had a great response to the whole PlayStation network sign-in fiasco that happened earlier this year. They made it a fucking cape.
And that was a case where they were the reaction was negative online, and the moment they put that out, I saw it stop. Like, immediately people stopped complaining.
Yeah.
Not only because they fixed it, but because it was so honest of, this is just how the game works.
Well, I mean, you can also critique Sony because they didn't fix it. They just kind of used it as a way to hide taking the game off of out of countries where they don't have PSN, which was shitty. And you still can't play Helldivers 2 in those countries, which is shitty. Now, what percentage of the gaming of the player base is that? Probably not a huge one, but it's still a percentage, and there's still gamers out there who maybe were playing Helldivers 2 and no longer can. That's shitty. That's on Sony, not on the Helldivers devs.
Read my lips. No gamer left behind. That's the standard. We should I fucking stutter. Fuck. Go on to the next one.
Also, it doesn't make any sense. Baldur's Gate 3, like, I guess, had community support, I guess.
But it was ongoing more than community support.
I guess. I don't know. Helldivers 2 was killing it on social media. Games for Impact. I also feel weird about a game that launched in the year being in the best ongoing game. What's ongoing about it? Especially because, they have an expansion out right now with a new enemy type. That's dope. Listen to the Piggy Bank for our impressions on that. But that came out after the award.
Yeah.
Or at least after the votes were cast. So why is it winning best ongoing? I don't understand. Games for Impact, Neva. Best accessibility, Prince of Persia: The Lost Crown. Only thing it won, should have won more. Prince of Persia is the most underrated game of the year.
It is.
Best performance, Melina Juergens. Well deserved. I would have rather seen Brianna White. I let you convince me that Luke Roberts was a shoo-in, and he did phenomenally. But the content of Silent Hill 2 left a lot on the didn't do a whole lot.
Well, I think Luke Roberts still should have won.
He did a great job. He did a phenomenal job.
All 3 of them did great jobs. I played all 3 games.
Oh, for sure. Audio design, Hellblade 2, Senua's Saga. I'm not mad about that, but I would have liked to have seen Silent Hill 2 personally.
I'm a little mad, only in the sense of Silent Hill 2 did as well as it did, and Hellblade 2 was treading the same waters. As a matter of fact, I think they did it not as well as the first game did. I remember those moments hitting way more.
But Hellblade has the benefit of it being a marketing beat for them, is their audio design, And Silent Hill 2's marketing was awful.
That's true.
Score and music, Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. This is the only category in which I feel it being a remake gave it an unfair advantage.
Mm-hmm. Fair enough.
It's the only category where I feel that way.
But they had to write the music over again. So.
They could have messed it up. And undeniably, Rebirth has probably one of the best scores in all of video game history, even though it is working off the bones of an already classic video game score.
Yep.
Best art direction, Metaphor Refantasio. I don't agree. Best narrative, Metaphor Refantasio. I do agree.
You had beaten the game. What are you talking about? You don't know what happens. What's even the twist? Tell me.
Well, I don't know the twist, but I do know 2024 was not the strongest year for video game narratives. And Metaphor was lauded for its narrative, so
got a good one.
There you go. Game direction, Astrobot. congrats to Astrobot. Would have bet money this would have been Balatro or Final Fantasy VII, just because usually they give it to the game that has its most well-known director, Nomura / we should have looked this up in
Should
between.
have totally looked at it.
Yeah.
Naoki?
No. Hidachi?
I'll find out now.
Something like that. Game of the year, Astrobot. Well deserved. There's been a lot of conversation about Black Myth Wukong not winning. I feel like if you are someone who plays a lot of video games and is up to date on the latest and greatest, you could have seen this coming a mile away.
Yeah.
Huh?
I was going to, yeah.
Oh, what's the dude's name?
Naoki Hamaguchi.
Hamaguchi. That's what it is.
Yes.
And listen, now there's like headlines and stuff going around about the Black Myth Wukong's director or
Director, I think.
Studio head making comments about how he feels a way about not winning Game of the Year and this, that, and the third. I think a lot of that is through like being a little bit misinterpreted through translation, and we're missing a lot of context of the quote. We just have the quote. I read the quote. It feels like some of the things said in there are meant to be jokes or humorous in some way. But he did, however, critique the criteria for Game of the Year. I assume he means remakes and DLCs being allowed in. I personally have no problem with that. We've had a lengthy conversation about it in the past, and you can go see that video on our channel right now. I don't know. I don't hold a lot of water to this. Listen, Black Myth Wukong had a big splash. It's a big deal for China to have a Chinese game dev studio make such a big splash. They are more than welcome to feel like they had a more than fair shot at winning Game of the Year. I don't think it's much of a talking point to
Frankly, there were games that kind of deserved to be in that position more, from my opinion, from how I played things.
I agree.
It makes sense with the popularity, but gameplay-wise, not as much.
Helldivers 2 is right there, man.
Prince of Persia
Prince of Persia's right there,
Yeah.
man. But I understand not enough people play Prince of Persia.
But, Black Myth aside for the Game of the Year aspect, it's good that Astrobot won due to the fact that it's a game that took 2 years to make.
Yep.
It's, it's beautiful. It's great level design, great visuals, but none of those that seem like they're like Naughty Dog's Last of Us or their upcoming Intergalactic.
Listen, it costs money to make Astrobot, but
Yeah.
it didn't seem like it costs like a debilitating amount of money that like if this game doesn't sell 8 million copies, the studio's going under.
Certainly didn't cost as much time either.
They sold, I think, 3 million, maybe a little bit less than that. So like it wasn't like a blockbuster hit, but I think it did well for what it was supposed to do. And listen, man, the industry needed a game like Astrobot. It specifically needed it this year. And I'm so glad it has it. I hope PlayStation takes a lot of lessons from this, being Astrobot their Game of the Year winner for the year and how beloved it was and how critically acclaimed it was. And on top of that, we had our failures of Concord. I think that sends a clear message to PlayStation, and I hope they learn that lesson and learn it well, because I would love to see an Astrobot 2 before the end of the PlayStation 5 generation.
Mm-hmm.
We used to be able to get multiple sequels within a single generation, and now we'll be lucky if we get one iteration of a game in a single generation. So,
yeah, I mean, that was the chance to have it happen with Astrobot.
Now's the chance. I hope so. And then the last thing I want to talk about, Connor, and the last award of the night. Did you ever find the website for it? I didn't write it down.
I never could find it. No one was even linking it. I know.
What a failure at games media as we continue the trend. Game Changer. This was a new thing Jeff Keighley wanted to do to sort of address his previous failings at talking about the state of the industry in all the negatives that are happening, specifically all the layoffs and so forth. So he created this new award called the Game Changer Award and presented it to Amir Satvat. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. And what Amir's been doing over the last year or two, he has basically created a database for all of the video game job market in order to help game devs who have been laid off in the last 2 years to sort of be able to find their feet again and find new work and so forth. So I believe he said something around the statement of over the last 2 years, there's been something like 36,000 jobs lost. Or some 30-something thousand jobs lost. I forget the exact number he said. And through Amir's work, more than 3,000 devs have found new jobs. Amir single-handedly with no promotion, no marketing, no backing, just a guy who wanted to make a difference in the world and put some positivity back into games media, was able to kind of course correct 10% of the amount of people who have lost their jobs. So I want to salute Amir specifically. Great work. This is exactly the type of example we need in this industry. His speech was very, very, very moving. I got, Phil said he got chills. I got a little emotional during his speech. I thought it was fantastic. And I think this is a good response from Jeff Keighley, and I'm hoping to see this award continue to grow and grow in importance. And I'm excited to see how it is presented next year as well. I think they nailed it this year. I think this is the key moment of the award show this year. I think this moment is close to, if not on par, of having the big three on stage in 2018, being Reggie, Phil Spencer, and Sean Layden. This felt close to that moment. I think it's I was very, very much blown away by it, and I hope to see more of it. And I'm also hoping that because Amir's presence on that stage, it serves as a big flag, a big billboard to say, "Hey, there's hope. Come over here." Mm-hmm. And so I'm expecting his numbers are probably going to shoot the hell up from other game devs who have lost their jobs over the last couple of years.
Mm-hmm. And I was like you guys. I was emotional during the time, and as the award ceremony
Here we go. We're going to fight about this one.
Oh, we are. We did fight at the end of the Games Award show.
Yes.
But, some things also came about after the fact, because you said he has no backing. He has backing. In fact, he's an executive. His position is at Tencent as the business development director. So he has a whole thing behind him. And
right, but this is a solo effort. This isn't incorporated with Tencent.
No, it's not. It's not, which is why any criticism I have is
so you're mad. Wait, are you upset he has a day job?
No, my issue is not with Amir. He has that position. Now, the breadth of what he exactly does, I'm not quite sure. I saw some people saying it's just for talent acquisition, but some people were specifically talking about mergers. He deals specifically with that, which is not exactly a thing we need in the industry right now. In fact, quite the opposite. Despite that, Amir, I saw nothing but sincerity with what he was doing. My issue comes in a couple of different places. How, first of all, it is a good source, but it is just LinkedIn. It's not some radical new thing.
Right, but
it's just a specific.
It's focused.
It is,
and it feels more purposeful and it feels real. A lot of jobs, and I know this through my girlfriend who works for a corporate hotel, post jobs on LinkedIn, but they're not actually looking for people. They just have to post the jobs as a formality. There's a lot of just filler on LinkedIn, and you see that industry-wide, not just in video games, but just worldwide, of a bunch of people saying, "Yo, I applied to 30 jobs in the last week, and I didn't hear back from any of them." This is something a little more focused, a little more personable, and just I think is a better resource than a LinkedIn.
But it ultimately is also just an Excel spreadsheet. It's not. Once again, it's not this grander.
But a guy is doing it in his spare time. He's doing it for the love of the game, So what do you want?
It's only to bring in the fact that it's not as monumental as it seems to be, but also the fact that this is all, it's performative.
3,000 people
It's more performative. It's more performative than anything else, though, because not only is this not going to lead towards any...
On whose perspective? On whose point? Who's being performative here?
Ultimately, the people who run the VGAs, who are very much industry allies, rather than industry, progressors. Mainly because, Keighley, I have some issues with. I don't find him to be a bad guy or an insincere guy. And as we talked about when we had argued, he is in a position where, to keep the VGAs going on, I agree with this, that he can't outright come out against them, right? And say, hey, they're the problem. But when you try to obfuscate and say, we don't know what the problems are, everyone knows what the problems are. You can leave that part out.
He didn't say we don't know what the problems are. He said we can debate about what the problems are.
But we know what the problems are. There's not really a need for debate. That's the issue.
Yes.
Is that he structured it in a way that's very marketable and nice sounding, but he's doing all of this in front of a crowd of industry heads. The most damning point that I heard was undoubtedly people in the audience who were key in laying off all of these people were those same exact people that stood up and clapped, despite the fact they did nothing to help their own employees besides...
Who are these people? I don't know.
That's the thing.
To my knowledge, VGAs are usually game devs and games media and just public attendee.
Game dev media, that's one thing, but there's definitely higher ups are.
I'm not
in that
saying they're
audience
not
and stuff
there.
like
I mean,
that.
Phil Spencer is there, you
Yeah.
know, and he's part of the problem.
Yeah,
know?
that's for certain. It just, this isn't like, I hate this fucking thing. This all sucks. But I just want to pump the brakes to think it's as monumental or as improving as it is. When it's, all of those elements don't make it outright bad or anything like that, but it definitely takes away any of the heart I was feeling during the speech. It made it from it turned it from, this is some really nice direction we're going towards. So it's, this is a nice thing to help it a little bit, but it's not going to solve or address any of the main issues.
Listen, it's not the cure, but like at least we can like kind of help and treat some symptoms here. You know?
Sure, definitely.
Which eases suffering, and it does put people back at work, which is a good thing. It allows them to still feel like they can work in this industry. You know, we're gonna lose a lot of talent in this industry because of all these layoffs, and you and I agree it's mostly because of corporate greed. There's a couple of other outstanding factors, but the large chunk of it is corporate greed, in our opinion, in our perspective. But man, Keeley's got a big platform, and like it or not, he didn't have to do this. And the Game Awards still would have gone on without it. It still would have been the same type of show. He did not have to do it, Connor.
Had to.
No,
Yes.
he could have. No, because he could have just as easily ignored all the critique he gets in games media. Most people don't care. The VGAs appeals to the mainstream, not to just the games industry, like guys like you and I who care so much. So yeah, we would have seen 10, 15 articles about, once again, Keeley fails to recognize mass layoffs in this industry. And then in 3 months, nobody would have cared. Greg Miller would have made a joke at the DICE Awards about it, and then everybody would go, ha, 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 and then move on. But instead, he chose to at least give it big spectacle. It wasn't like a quick little, 2-minute video. There was a quick 2-minute video in there, but it was also Keeley giving a speech saying, hey, the industry's going through some troubles right now. Yes, his language was soft. And yes, my language would have been harder. That's why I'm not Jeff Keighley.
Yeah.
You know? And then it came with I mean, money went into this. Like there's like a whole documentary thing of what he's been doing, like however minute long video of it. That's money spent on it. And then he gave the dude a lot of focus, and it was universally the moment of the night. The industry reacted more to Amir than they did The Witcher 4. Now, the gamers and the YouTube crowds and all that reacted to The Witcher and the Naughty Dog game and every game is woke, every game has a blah, 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 blah. But the industry felt this. The industry cared about this. Now, is it the biggest thing in the world? Is it gonna drastically change the games industry by next year? No, it won't. We're still gonna have thousands of game devs who are getting laid off. It's not stopping anytime soon from the looks of it. But man, there is so much negativity in this fucking industry, and I'll take little rays of hope wherever I can.
I will as well.
This is a big ray of hope.
But these are rays of hope that I think serve more to distract from the problem rather than help it. I
don't think anybody is thinking the problem no longer exists because of Amir.
I know.
I think everybody is aware that the problem is still here. We're going to continue suffering from the problem, and yes, this is just a bit of like, hey guys, look, it's not that bad. Or hey guys, look, there's something good happening here, but it's not. I don't think it's a distraction. I think it's a great way to focus and say, hey, look, there's a way to bounce back. If this terrible thing happens to you, you have a resource, and that's just as important as solving the problem is helping the people who suffer from the problem.
I'll agree with you on that.
It's not enough. It's not enough to abolish slavery. You got to do something to account for the hundreds of years lost of societal progression, lost because of slavery. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
That was a messy allegory, but you get my point.
I get what you were saying. But the only other issue with it is looking at the people who run the companies. They could see this. They're humans. Regardless of how we talk about them, how harsh we are on them, they're human beings. And yeah, Jesus, they're human beings. But these kinds of things, I almost think serves to soothe.
You know who my favorite Mario brother is, Connor?
Who's that? Wario?
Nah, Luigi, my boy.
What? What's this?
I just thought I'd throw that on the. I love me some Luigi. I play as him in Smash sometimes. You know, I like Luigi.
It's a solid name, but you know, when it comes to these executives, them being humans, I think this kind of thing more or less would make them comfortable. Like, hey, here's this source that can help people out.
I don't think
I don't have to really. We can focus on things like this while I continue to do the same exact problems I've perpetuated, possibly even make them worse. But it's a soothing of conscience. And no, that's not as hard line. Now that's me theorizing effectively.
Yeah,
people can act any different way.
I don't agree with you on that. I also don't think it's Keeley's job to put a foot on the neck of these executives. I think his job is media relations, not media itself. Mm-hmm. So Keeley's job is to get the message from the executives to the people. That's his place. That's his space in the industry. Let the Greg Millers, the Rebecca Valentines, the Tom Ivans, the Jason Schreiers of the world, let them keep the foot on the neck of these executives and hold them accountable. And it's also our job as the gamers, as the consumers, to aid in that and to speak out and move against all of these negative things ourselves. Now, I do think Keeley has a responsibility to at least do
what he's doing here.
He has the responsibility, because he has that platform, to acknowledge what these things are. And I think, sure, I would like his language to be a little harsher, personally, because my language should be a little harsher, and I think it is that important. But I do think having spotlights on guys like this is nice. And hey, Game Awards is probably going to last another 5 years, give or take, right? Mm-hmm. We can probably expect Jeff Keighley's Game Awards to keep going, right?
Yeah.
Imagine what 5 more Amirs are doing.
Mm-hmm. We'll see, because it seems to be like the Game Changers Award, as it's called, seemed to be a new thing.
And the Game Awards have kind of been playing around with this in the past a little bit. They did this thing called the Future Class, where they kind of were putting a focus on young, fresh faces in the industry. The first time they did it was a little more media focused. Every time after that, it was a little more developer focused. I'm hearing from those people that they didn't feel super well represented in following years. I think this is a good pivot. I think this is a good way to say, we're trying, but this isn't really working. Let's figure something else out. And I think this is working way better than that.
Well, here's what I'll say. This is in regards to Jeff Keighley. I'm talking to you. I'm not a sycophant.
I want to go ahead and point out that each of our own perspectives here is our own perspectives. We do not have a universal brand perspective on really any topic.
No,
other than you should probably treat people well.
You had mentioned before, you should treat people well. Journalists, they're the ones who hold the people to the feet. Hold executives' feet to the fire, companies' feet to the fire.
Well, the people do, but it's the journalist's job to inform the people.
Yes, you're right. But Jeff Keighley, talking to you.
Jeez.
Leak more things to them. Do that. You're an insider. You're on the media relations side of thing.
What is he going to leak?
Whatever helps. Whatever helps. That's all I'm saying. Be that if you're not already that guy, because hey, he could be right now.
Jeff Keighley leaking the new FromSoft trailer is not going to help anybody.
I'm not talking about that stuff. I'm talking like the dirt.
What dirt does Jeff Keighley have?
Yeah, how do I know?
He's got more than us.
Exactly.
But,
That's what I'm saying. Just whatever you get, just send it their way. Be anonymous. Journalists have integrity to not tell people that you're the one giving that.
How do you know he's not?
Then I salute you if you are. But if you aren't already, who's going to know? Nobody. Except the people that have all that money and could find out because they have lots of money. That shouldn't shirk you from your duty. What should be your duty? You aren't doing it already.
Connor, I want to end this conversation with some things that we're both very fond of the Game Awards we're both fond of it. We liked what happened this year. We thought it was a good show. It was one of the best for sure. What are just a few things that you feel like they could continue to improve on going forward?
This has served as a good benchmark for how they're going to go forward. Mm-hmm. The only thing I can think of, and I think of it because you mentioned it, which is the fact that they would have a pre-show.
Yeah.
A pre-show to their what was the other word?
Opening act. Turning the pre-show into the opening act.
Pre-show to the opening act.
Yeah. So let me take this because I've had this kind of idea brewing. So I'm of the opinion that while the balance was pretty good here, it still felt a little too announcement heavy, and I would have liked more award focus because we are at an awards show. So I would have liked to seen more devs on stage. I would have liked to have seen more devs give speeches. We mentioned it in the first recording, but Sven, what's his name?
Vinka.
Vinca from Larian Studios gave a very great speech when presenting the Game of the Year award, and then I was immediately followed up by the Astrobot dev giving a very good speech while accepting that award. Those were both fantastic speeches. I wanted to see more of that. I think turning the pre-show into the opening act was a very, very smart move because it allowed to get some more trailers and sort of our ad dollars in things like Monster Hunter Now got a cool little ad spot where it was interactive with the host and so forth, But I think that now gives us room to have, for people who care, another 30 minutes to an hour of a actual pre-show in which we are on the ground floor with developers and talking with industry insiders, sort of having a bit of a red carpet event that is connected to the Game Awards that allows these game devs and industry folks to have an opportunity to speak, because your only opportunity to speak is the few times a year you get nominated and win a game award. I would like to be able to see what these devs, how they feel and how they think and what they have to say. Now it can be a little bit showy. It can be, oh, what are you wearing tonight? Oh, you look great. This, that, and the third. But just being able to put some faces of game dev people to be able to support the creatives of the industry who actually make it move and make it work, I think that'd be great. So I think a cool 30 minutes, 45-minute, just early thing. It's streamed. You can be here if you want. It has ad breaks in it. Why not? But just some time to get to know these people a little bit, I think would be really, really appreciated. And I think it would continue to help that balance of announcements and awards. So even if it is a year, a little bit like this one, but more like some of the other years of the past where it feels too focused on announcements. Well, hey, we had a 45-minute segment at the beginning of the show where we talked to devs one-on-one and we gave them a microphone.
Yeah.
That would mean, cool. that would say more than I think what we're saying right now, which I think is a decent amount, but we could always do better.
And piggybacking off that, really good solution. This is not a joke. You take almost all of the music performances and you throw them in the trash. How much money are you spending on
Whoa. Pause. Because you're talking about something different than what the people are going to interpret that as. You're talking the Snoop Dogs and the Imagine Dragons and the things like that, all right?
Even the adjacent video game stuff, which we had a conversation on that.
Imagine Dragons had a song for Arcane, so they performed their Arcane song.
But how much money are you spending on that, and how much time is being taken up away from the things you just said, which are far better than the performances?
Yes, but they also, it doesn't feel like it, but they do bring eyes to the stage. Snoop Dogg being there did bring eyes to the stage. Now, maybe not on the consumer level like you and I, but on the big marketing level, the big guys who throw around billions of dollars, they're watching now because Snoop Dogg was there. My only thing about it is I don't like that it was advertised. Like that's why we were coming to the Game Awards, is for Snoop Dogg.
Yeah.
And they kept saying, oh, and Snoop Dogg's gonna perform later, during the Game Awards. I don't care. How dope would it have been if Snoop Dogg just fucking showed up and we didn't know he was there? And we went, oh shit, Snoop Dogg. Oh, what? He's got a game dev studio happening? That's crazy. That would have been a lot cooler. I think that would have been presented a lot better. But don't throw away music performances as a whole, because I love the Game Awards orchestra.
Amazing. Yeah.
They're so good. I love them every year. And I do like whenever we do the video game adjacent stuff. This year they had the 21 Pilots, or they had, who did they have? Who for the Arcane song?
Imagine Dragons.
No, that was the other year. That was 19 or whatever.
See, the fact that we don't remember it seems the marketing wasn't all that great.
And who was it? Was it Forever?
21 Pilots, I think.
It was 21 Pilots,
yeah.
Something like that. Yeah, those things. That's fine. They're adjacent. They're connected through some way.
That's the thing. I don't even want the adjacent stuff there anymore.
Nah, I want the adjacent stuff.
And again, I'll say it again. Are they spending more money? Are they getting more money than they're spending with having these big performances?
That's hard to gauge just because we're not in those rooms. I would assume it's not so much money, it's access. They are getting access to other opportunities. What are those? I don't know. I'm not in those rooms. But I would assume that they are able to have conversations with different people in order to do that. And what would you prefer? Chick Hydro Man or Snoop Dogg? I would prefer Snoop Dogg. Because at least the musical performance is at least entertaining.
The Chick Hydro Man can just be there. He doesn't have to be the center of focus. You just stand off to the side.
Here, Jeff Keighley, make even more money. Put the Chic Hydro Man next to Snoop Dogg next year.
Literally, you could just have him in the frame whenever Jeff Keighley's talking somewhere.
Yeah,
Just
but
hiding
you know
out
these
there.
advertisers want their Chick Hydro Man interview or whatever the fuck.
That's going to have way more generation than here. Here's this advertisement we're doing where everyone rolls their eyes at it. Doing something fun.
Okay, so should we cut the Muppets too?
Well, the Muppets actually add to the show by being funny.
Well, Snoop Dogg adds to the show by being entertaining Snoop Dogg.
Video Game Award stuff. Like these other guys are like, they're making jokes of like, hey, Hideo Kojima's in the crowd. You think Jeff Keighley knows? Do you think he knows that he's Jeff Keighley's friend? Ha ha ha.
Felt so bad. Kojima had no idea what was happening.
Apparently he does, actually. Because apparently he has spoken English in the past and yet
Oh, yeah.
he was criticized for it, and so he stopped doing it.
Oh, really?
Like he was made fun of, like back in the day.
Oh, that's so sad.
Apparently. That's all I heard.
I mean, he doesn't have the best English, but I imagine
No,
because he
but-
doesn't practice it because he's a man with a full-time job.
But he does work in the games industry where he clearly watches a lot of American films.
He knows English.
Works with them.
He knows it. I think he knows English, but he's not fluent. So he's in that weird, awkward time. And I do hear that when people see him, sometimes the translation goes both ways, but sometimes it doesn't. So I think whoever he has translating for him knows the range of English that he can speak.
Yeah.
I would assume, or something like that. I don't know. I've never met the man, so
No.
I'd love to. Kojima, you're an icon. You're one of my favorites. You probably are my favorite.
Yeah, of course he is.
You wouldn't like who my number two.
Number 2 is? I wonder who.
We're not going to talk about it. We're not going to talk about it.
I can guess.
I'm just talking off creative works. All right, just the creative works.
No, I didn't say you weren't.
Yeah, just the creative works. Anyways, Connor, let's get the hell out of here.
Please, God, help me.
Oh my God. It's going to be such a long night. Anyways, ladies and gentlemen, this has been the Two Penny Gamescast. Thank you so much for listening along with us and watching along with us. Let us know down in the comments down below how you felt about the Game Awards, all the announcements, and all of the things presented at the Game Awards. What could be done better? What was nailed on the head? Excuse me, I've done this show twice. Make sure you like, subscribe, drop a comment down for more. Hit that bell so you know every time we upload. Follow us on social media, on TikTok, and on our brand new Instagram account. Links are in the description down below. And make sure, because at the beginning of each month, we do our video game book club, which is the Two Penny Game Club, where we play games of old and review and rank them amongst each other. BioShock is going to be your game for the December episode. So make sure you are in the background playing BioShock along with us. That's going to be a very, very interesting conversation, I'm sure. And, make sure you keep an ear out. We are going to have a top 10 video games of 2024 coming real soon. We are going to have the return of our Fantasy Critics series coming real soon. So make sure you subscribe and keep an eye out for that. Remember, you can catch us every Tuesday at 8 a.m. Central Time, youtube.com/@TwoPennyGames. And mainstream podcast services. Mainstream podcast services of your choice. Just look up the Two Penny Games cast. And until next time, have a great time. And Connor, say goodbye to the people.
My bad, I muted myself. Bye, people.